Look, everybody knows that we all hate the New England Patriots in Indianapolis, right? All right, yeah, we hate them. But we're not going to kill them, right? Right? We're not going to. So my friend is trying to solve a problem, right? My friend is trying to solve a problem of tribalism by saying, let's do that in a way that, like, we are not tempted to hate somebody and do violence to them. Now, I think this is where Christian faith can open up for us a new possibility. When the disciples proclaim that Jesus is Lord, the assumption there is Caesar is not Lord. And even though the Romans were excellent at creating a sense of tribalism, it is what they did. The Christians refused to go along with that tribalism. In fact, the story of the triumphal entry tells us that the early Jesus followers were making a mockery of tribalism. They insisted on a radically different orientation to the world. These early Jesus followers insisted that Jesus' lordship made no distinction between Jew and Gentile. Jesus' lordship made no distinction between male and female, no distinction between slave and free. St. Paul says that there was once a dividing wall of hostility between the Jew and the Gentile, but that dividing wall of hostility has been broken down and one new humanity comes out of it. It's Ephesians 2, by the way. Check it out. Amazing passage. Dividing, oh, wait, is that Galatians 2? All right, it's either in Ephesians 2 or Galatians 2. All right. Man, sometimes you get up here and you're blank. All right. This Jesus community says there's a new humanity being created out of the two. No more tribalism for us. Now, I know that some Christians in the history of the church have actually made Christianity into just one more tribalism. In fact, that is the history of the Reformation. If you know very much about the Reformation, it was a violent act of Christian tribalism. So it's not as if we have always done this well. But that wasn't the way that was spelled out by the early Jesus followers. There was this tribe that refused to depend upon might. They refused to depend upon divisions. Because remember that Caesar's army came riding on horses. That is a show of military power. It is like a tank driving into town. But Jesus' community comes riding on a donkey. And that's not a show of military might. That is a humble work animal. And a kingdom of peace is led by a king of peace. Theirs was a tribe that refused to be stuck between forming a true community and a temptation to tribalism. I think we've got a mic popping over there. Oh my God. See, this is why you need the perimeter of somebody's mic's not going to work. All right. Where was I? Tribalism. All right. I want to address one particular tribalism that I think is really, really dangerous right now. And that is, there are some people in our country today that want to suggest that we have to take care of our own people, American people, before we can take care of those people. We don't want them stealing our jobs. We don't want them demanding health care. We don't want them demanding even just safety and security. Now let me clearly say that any ideology, any nationalism, any tribalism that asks you to favor one community over another is not the Christian way. The Christian way says that there is no division between Jew and Gentile. There is no division between slave and free. We are one new humanity. Rome was not allowed to demand the allegiance of these early Christians. Now, I want to call us to do something that I think is particularly powerful. I want us to have like one of those fundamental acts of anti-tribalism. I want us to do what I think can be remarkably powerful in our lives and in the world. I want us to pray for people who aren't us. So in a few minutes, we're going to come around and give you some slips of paper that describe some humanitarian issues in the world. Okay? And I want you to just group up with 3 or 4 other people and spend some time praying about that issue. For some of you, it may be the first time you've ever heard of it. In fact, as we were researching for some of these, what's the body that the name is? UNICEF. UNICEF said that the largest humanitarian crisis since 1945 is going on right now in Yemen. How many of you even know what's going on in Yemen? So maybe 5% of us, right? We're so ignorant often. And it's much of it's not even our fault. It's that our news and our media don't seem to want us to care. And I want to do a fundamental act of care tonight. That these people, the people of Yemen, the people of Central America, these people are our people. We're not separate from them. We are part of a tribe that says we are one new humanity. So as they come around with those slips of paper, just grab a slip of paper. You only need one for your group, and the 3 or 4 of you will gather around, learn about that issue for just a moment. They're pretty short, and begin to pray for those issues in the world.